Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for the applause. You guys are wonderful. Okay, before we start, we have announcements. Now, every time I have announcements, so part of your grade is watching the video. You're participating in class. So anybody who's not watching the video and doesn't follow the instruction is going to lose points, because that means they're not participating in class. Okay, so spread that to your friends. And so this announcement is that you are going to be graded by the papers you hand in. And I gave you brand new envelopes. You picked up the packets, and there's still some left over in the drop box in that lower part of the cabinet. And so, or if you don't have one, tell me, I'll mail you one. Okay? So once you scan your paper in, then you're going to put that paper back into the envelope. And then also, no worksheets have to be circled, because part of participating in the class is that you circle, you watch the video that circles. So if they're not circled, again, you're going to lose points. I hope you understand that. So any paper from now on that is not handed in, it could be counted, if it's a regular worksheet, it would be counted as a 0. The note worksheets are graded in 2, so that's going to be a little bit different. So these envelopes have a purpose. If you don't have an envelope and you want to use a folder, that's fine too. But they all have to be handed in. After you scan it, you put them in, and then they will be handed in. Just so you guys know that. Now, this I'm putting out early. This is Monday's class, okay? Even though it's going to be online earlier. And according to the schedule that's not only was sent to you by Remind, but also on Power School, it says Monday, April 6th, send in note worksheet 1 over Lenin. Okay, pretty simple. You scan it, send it in, put it back into your envelope. Then worksheet X, the front side. So today, it says right below it, PowerPoint and the worksheet. So the PowerPoint is to fill out what we're going to do right now, note worksheet 2 over Lenin, and do the back side of X. Some of you probably already did both sides of worksheet X done. Great, great. But for those who are putting stuff off, that is what you're working on Monday. And obviously you'll hand it in Monday night or Tuesday morning. I hope this is sinking in. So, that's all of our announcements. So, here we go. First, the joke of the day. Alexa, tell me a joke.
Did you hear the one about the man who failed to climb a hill without a watch?
Mm-mm.
He had neither the time nor the inclination.
I did not get that one. Okay, let's continue. All right, we already answered this one right here. And yeah, we said when was he overthrown? February of 1917. And by October 1917, power fell into the hands of the Bolsheviks. Remember Lenin's party, the Bolsheviks? They're the ones that win. So that's the answer for number 1. Number 2, who is the leader of the Bolsheviks party? You guessed it. Who was their leader? Lenin found himself not only the leader of his party, but also the chairman of the Council of the People's Commissionary, which is the equivalent of a prime minister, just a different name. So that's number 2 and number 3. Okay, 2 and 3 are the same person. That is Lenin. Okay, number 4. What is the new name of the proclaimed Russian Socialist Federative Soviet Republic? And that is, the new name for it, I'm sorry. That was wrong. The new name is the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, USSR. And hopefully, if I get it, there's music playing right now. Don't know if I'm going to get that in or not. Anyway, Union of Soviet Socialist Republic. Okay, that is your answer for number 4. All right, obviously we have everything here. So that means that probably You better pause it. Let's go. Number 5. And in October, Lenin sneaks back into Russia from Finland. Wrote an interesting book on this, fascinating. Lenin directed the provisional government disposition from early months of November. And on the 7th of November, Lenin takes over the Winter Palace. That was the equivalent of the White House, the Winter Palace. And so that is the date, which is the answer. That's the Tsar's headquarters. That's number 5. So the miracle of Fatima came, and he said, remember Mary said, pray for the conversion of Russia. Russia was a communist then. But that same year that Mary said that, it became communist when Lenin took over, November 7th, 1917. Okay, so who's in charge of the new government? The Brushkovits are. That's number 6. Number 6, it's underlined. Most of these are underlined for you so we can go faster. The Red Guard took control of all communications, opposition parties, newspapers, post office, regular newspapers, and the printing press. Any means of communication the Red Guard took over. They wanted full control. But the most important, the most important control of information was not the internet. It didn't exist then, but the equivalent of the internet is the telegraph. It could set out so many, you could just tap something and newspapers all over the country would get that message at the same time. It was like sending out an email. But it was very primitive, dots and dashes, but it worked. And so they took that over. And I remember the professor, I took a class on this, and he said that they just sent a message out to all the newspapers in these little towns and says, there's a new government in charge, the Bolsheviks, and they got new exciting things that's going to be happening. Everybody read in their paper, said, oh, that's interesting. They didn't know nothing about them. So, yeah, little did they know. What did Lenin control for the flow of people? What do you have to take control of? And that is, he took over key junctions and bridges in the capital. So again, by having, like for instance, bridges. If they wanted to stop people from Nebraska going to Iowa because of the virus or vice versa, they only have to cover so many bridges. And you have to cross a bridge to get over here from Iowa. So if you want to control people, that's what you have to do. And that's why there's actually talk about it. And what did the Brushkovits use to control the government and people? The secret police. From the very beginning, the Brushkovits relied on a strong secret police to enforce their rule. Dictatorships love secret police. Always love it. And a lot of times, depending on who your leader is, they like to get ex-convicts to be your secret police. They don't have any problem about roughing you up or keeping laws or anything like that. So they work pretty good for that. And what was the date? He already had the secret police established. Remember, he took over in 1917. It was December 1917. Right away, within a month, this guy, bald guy, crazy dude Lenin, establishes the first secret police. What was it called right here? The Cheka. And I'm sure I'm not pronouncing that right. The Cheka, right here. It was supposed to be temporary to abolish, and then be abolished later when they took control. Was it ever abolished? The answer is no. We're at number 12. Was it supposed to be temporary? Yes. Was it? No. Number 13. And what crimes was supposed to investigate? Originally, counter-revolutionary crimes. That's all it's supposed to do. Anybody that was against the revolution, they were on your back door. But 14, it soon began, what it soon began to be? A campaign of terror. Notice it's underlined. Against the property class and the enemies of the Bolsheviks. So all of a sudden they're harassing people. Go figure. Alright, so that's what it was used for. Then number 15. Were many of the Bolshevik party even offended at the policy? First I have to do the note, then I'll do those. Although many Bolsheviks viewed the Cheka with repugnance, I mean it's like, really, this is sick, and spoke out against its excesses, it continued to exist and was seen as crucial to the survival of the new regime. So I broke that down for you. So were some of the party offended by the policies? Yes. And did they think that the violence was necessary for success? Yes. So even people in the party said, we don't really like it, but it's a necessary evil. So let's move on. Those were yeses. If you need to pause it, we're moving on. Anti-Christian policies. What was established for the purpose of removing the religious sentiments of the people? That's number 17. And within weeks of revolution, the People's Commission, that's not the answer, sorry. Remember Enlightenment? The People's Commission for Enlightenment was established. Enlightenment means atheism, code word there. What did Lenin establish for the purpose of removing the instructions? All Russian Union of Teachers Internationalists. So remember, Russia didn't really have this separation of church and state. Neither, our country didn't either, till the 1960s, where they said that you couldn't teach religion. Up until that time, a priest actually would go into a public school and teach a class. That was not unusual. There was nothing wrong with it. Nobody even winked an eye at it. Or a Protestant minister, if they were mostly like in a Baptist, they have a Baptist minister come in. That was normal. So at this time, having some instructions on your religion in a public school wasn't, nobody questioned it. This is 1917. So when Lenin comes in, he says, no, we don't want any of that religion stuff. So he started this All Russian Union of Teachers International. So when you write that down, we're going to move on. And we're at number, I believe, in order to intensify the anti-religious propaganda in the school system, the Chief Administration for Political Enlightenment was established. So there's your answer for number 18. The Chief Administration for Political Enlightenment. The communists are always really cool with enlightenment, okay? Just research China. All right, now we're on 19. There we go. You can go back and pause that. What decree, sorry about that, did Lenin use in 19 to deprive the formerly official church, Greek Orthodox, of its status of a legal person? Separation of church and state. In early 1918, deprived the formerly official church of its status of legal person. So that's what it was called, the separation of church and state. In this country, that was not used until the 60s, where they kicked Christianity out of the churches using a clause that is not in the Constitution, the separation of church and state, which you hear a lot about. It's not in the Constitution. Sorry, read your Constitution. You guys should be getting this in civil government. Really, please. Okay, what two things did they lose? Thank you for asking that. The right to own property. So yeah, the church isn't yours anymore. Sorry. And to teach religion. You just can't do it. That's all. They of course have freedom of religion. You just can't talk about it, own property, or teach it. But you're free. Both state and private schools or any other group of minors you could not teach. So that was their ruling, just there to help the people. So, number 21, I broke this up then. So after you write this down, we're going to go to the next slide. You can pause it, okay? Zooming in. Oh yeah. And, Oh, I did put it here. The decree abolished the privilege of the church and thus ended the alliance between church and state. So that was number 21. 21. It's a yes or no. So you can figure that one out. And now we're at it. Here we go. The clergy openly attacked the decree of all the churches. And the leadership of the church issued special appeal to believers to obstruct the enforcement of the decree. Say, don't obey it. And did it do any good? Nope. They just attacked back. They just used force. That's all it was. And just like in China, you see it all the time. Hong Kong, they're protesting, force. That's their way. So did it do any good? No. And so 23, I don't know if 23 is here on the next one. So you might have to, wait a minute. Wait a minute, what's happening here? Whoa. Whoa, do you feel that? What? Whoa. This is awkward. You guys are all upside down. Oh my gosh, what's going on here? I'm losing it. Somebody put me back right side up. Whoa. Okay. Whoa. That was weird. Okay, let's keep going. All right, we're going to go. Oh, it is here. Who excommunicated the Soviet leadership in 1918? It wasn't the Pope this time. Fooled you. It is the Patriarch, whatever this dude's name is, Tikhon of Moscow, excommunicated the Soviet leadership on January 19, 1918 for conducting this campaign. So the Patriarch for the Greek Orthodox is like the Pope. That's why when the Pope tries to work out stuff with the Greek Orthodox, he talks to the Patriarch, sorry. And the Patriarch of Moscow was the one that excommunicated him. And I never did follow up on what happened to him. I'm sure that he mysteriously disappeared, if you know what I mean. Okay, let's keep going. Anti-Christian policy, who got killed in retaliation by the communists? So when they revolted against this, they just killed them, that's all. And so there were dozens of bishops, thousands of clergy, and monks. All right, so there's your answer for number 24. Not that many, just dozens of bishops, thousands of priests, and monks. That's all. Just killed them like, oh, you guys don't agree with us? Yeah, we're going to kill you. You know. All right, and of course, even some of the laity was sticking up for the priests and monks. They just killed them. That's all. Everyday stuff for communism. All righty, and the communists then began the seizing of church property over the next few years, which would be marked by a brutal campaign of violent terror. Because if he really, you know, they could just take over the church, but if he really made them mad, it just might accidentally start on fire, and the fire department is controlled by what? The government! They don't actually get there till it's a little late, churches burn down. What a coincidence, you know? So, how many monasteries had been liquidated over this period? Thank you for asking that. That's not it. They just said, oh, we didn't do the number yet. I'm sorry. We did the total, 26. And that was, yeah, this is 26. 18 bishops, 102 priests, 145 deacons, 94 monks had been killed. Okay? Between just these, 6 months or so, that's how many were killed. Again, in retaliation. So now 27 is how many monks or convents and monasteries? They must have had a lot of them. 579 monasteries and convents were liquidated. They took their property. When I was in Poland, we went and visited the Marian sisters. We were in the Czech Republic. The Marian sisters actually had 2 sisters that escaped, and they came here to Nebraska and they started the Marian sisters. With their original order, we visited them and we went to the Czech Republic, and the town was actually called Brno, as I recall. And the sisters said that when the communists took over, they sent them to different houses. And they took over their convent. Then when the communism, Poland was a free country again, then the new government, the civil government that was, voted in their own government, basically, free government, then they were allowed to come back to their convent because they had previous ownership of that convent before the communists took it. And so that's not unusual. That was just, I don't know how many convents in Poland they did that. So we actually went to their convent, which was, they'd only been living in it for not even 15 years from the fall of communism. So anyway, they also executed monks and nuns, which was, number 28. Large numbers of monks and nuns were executed. Obviously, if these sisters would have put up a fight, or if those two sisters that snuck here would have got caught, they would have been executed. So it didn't take much. In the summer of 1918, the whole family of the Russian Tsar was executed. Remember, Marx said that the ruling class must be eliminated. That's what it said in the Communist Manifesto. That's what Lenin went by. So what did he do? 1918. Not even a year after he took control, the whole family, children and everybody, were executed. He was just following what Marx told him to do. And so remember that when they talk about socialism. So that was number 29. Pause it if you need it. Pause it if you need it. And now we're going to the next one, which would be 30. How about letting the media help destroy religion? Anti-religious atheist propaganda was considered to be essential importance to Lenin's party from its early pre-revolutionary day. So that's your answer for number 30. The anti-religious atheistic propaganda. That's what it was called. Nice catchy name. Okay, well you write number 30. You can pause it. We're going to go to 31. Shortly after coming to power, what was Lenin's regime quick to create? And that is atheistic journals. Atheistic journals. So just telling why Christianity was so bad. We see that in the media now. They always do stories anytime they can bash Christians or Catholics. And of course, praising any atheists that they come across. What was the name of Lenin's first atheistic journey? The Revolution and the Church. There's the Soviet name for it right there. Revolution and the Church. That was number 32. So again, they took topics and just had their point of view, which coincidentally the church always looked bad and the revolution always looked good. Originally, the communists believed in the ideology that religion would disappear quickly with the coming of the revolution, and that its replacement with atheism would be inevitable. They think it's just going to happen. Once people get all the money they need and they're living happily ever after, they don't need God anymore. So really, the communists really thought that it was a given. And in China, they're still fighting against the church, right as we speak. So, I totally lost where we are. Oh, number 33 is a yes or no. So read this over and answer yes or no to number 33. If you need to, you can pause it. We're going to the next slide, which is 34. They were wrong, by the way. They never did kick out religion totally. Did a good job, though. And here we go. We're on number 34. What was Lenin's main target of the anti-religious campaign in the 1920s? It was the Russian Orthodox Church. They were the biggest one. The Catholics were not the biggest one in Russia. it was the Russian Orthodox Church. And what happened to most of the clergy and believers? Nearly all of his clergy and many of his believers were shot or sent to labor camps. Alright, so number 35, they were shot. Again, it was quick. If you didn't like their policies, we're going to shoot you, okay? Or they were sent to labor camps. And where is Lenin's favorite labor camp? You got it, Siberia. Lenin loved to send people to Siberia. So cold there. Okay, theological schools were closed. Church publications were prohibited. So pretty much, yeah, no more priests, no more nuns, and no more publications, just nothing. And in 1939, only about 500 of the... So the Soviet Union, before the takeover of communism, had 50,000 churches. And by 1939, 500 are still open, which to me is amazing that they even had 500 still open. That's number 36. Number 37, I thought it was another slide. By 1926, the Roman Catholic Church had no bishops left in the Soviet Union. So the Greek Orthodox got way better off than the Catholics did. Because remember, he took over in 1917. In less than 10 years, there's no bishops left. They're either dead, exiled, or already died in Siberia. In 1941, only 2 of the almost 1,200, obviously the Catholics didn't have as many churches, but they had 1,200 churches, and only 2 were left open. And Lithuanians, although many of them died, they really did fight for their faith. And so the communists always hated them. And they were still active. And so 2 of 1,200 churches by 1941, the beginning of the war. To me, I'm just guessing, that doesn't seem like freedom of the church to me. Maybe it's just me. Let's keep going. We're almost done. This is exciting. And the Ukraine Catholic Church, linked with Ukrainian nationalism, was forcibly subordinate in 1946 to the Russian Orthodox Church. What does that say in English? That they put these guys under the rule of the Russian Orthodox Church, which by this time is working with the communists. So they're trying to have somewhat of religion in the lives of people. So because the Russian Orthodox kind of compromised their faith working with the communists, that they just put the Ukrainians under their control forcibly. Not too happy. So, we're not to the death of Lenin yet. And this church right here, they were suppressed twice in the 1920s and again 1944. That's just the government saying you don't exist anymore. Okay, Lenin's death, that's where we're at. When did he die? Well, no, when did he do his first stroke, which was number 39? 1922, pretty early after he took over. Remember, he'd only been ruling for 5 years, and he suffered his first serious stroke. Loss of consciousness due to ruptured or blockage of an artery in the brain. Yeah, not good. And then, almost recovering from the first stroke, he suffered a second one in December 16, 1922. That's number 40. Again, dates go really fast, so you should be going fast there. He was so seriously ill that he could not participate in only on occasionally he could participate. Most of the time he did not. And he moved to a country home at Gorky, Russia. Gorky, Russia. Okay, that's where, so I got 2 questions there. Where did he die at? Gorky, Russia. And when did he die? January 21st, 1924. January 21st, 1924. You know, I think it's time for another commercial. Let's try one of those commercials from the old TV stations that I did. Let's do a cut there, and maybe if this is short enough, we'll do another chunk of the Ron and Ron show. Let's go to it right now.
There's nothing to do around here. Nothing to watch on TV. What am I supposed to do with myself?
What? Nothing on TV?
Yeah.
Why, MSM TV is on every Monday through Thursday from 12 to 1, 4 to 5, and 8:30 to 9:30. That's something to watch.
It is?
Yes, it is.
MSM TV, man, you have solved my problems. I thank you.
MSM TV, we're here when you need us.
Thanks a lot, Ron. Here we are once again back in Purgatory for an update report. I'm right here with two zombies, Zibbet and Zob. And they're here in Purgatory. We don't know how long, but we're once again watching to see what kind of action they're going to take to this terrible suffering they are down here. Let's once again see what's happening here in Purgatory.
Hello, everybody.
Oh!
Baking bread with Ronaldo.
Oh!
We've got a great show.
Yeah, as you can see, they have to watch this baking bread show on WMSM TV. Excuse me, sir, how do you feel about this show? As you know, zombies are not known for being talkative. Excuse me, sir, how do you feel about this show?
Oh!
Thank you for that. And I guess we're going to go back to you, Ron. All right. All right. Back to you, Ron. All right. Wasn't that fun? Yeah, that was good. You have to admit you liked it. Okay, Lenin's Death. Let's continue on here. His last words. His last words, Lenin, who is against religion in general, set his sights to one of Christians' greatest heroes, St. Francis of Assisi. Lenin knew that his ideology is lost and that Russia had lost, and contemplated what would be required to restore Russia when he said these words. Keep in mind, your answer that you write down follows the quote. So let me read the quote. I'm actually going to move out of the picture and zoom in. So here we go. I have deluded myself without doubt. It was necessary to free the oppressed masses, meaning the workers. However, our methods resulted in other oppressions and gruesome massacres. You know, I'm deathly ill. I feel lost in an ocean of blood, formed by countless victims. This was necessary to save our Russia, but it's too late to turn back. We would need 10 Francis of Assisi. Wow. Those are crazy last words, aren't they? He realized at the end what he did. So here's what you write down. That his policies, again, start writing it down as I read it slowly, that his policies only produce gruesome massacres, and an ocean of blood. He would need 10 Francis of Assisi. 10 Francis of Assisi to save Russia. That, my friends, is a summary of his last words. Let that sink in. I'm going to let you pause it. And now we're moving on. So, here we go. Final thoughts. What did Lenin feel he lost? Because of countless victories he's lost in, and that is St. Francis of Assisi. That's number 44. Okay, So you can pause that. Those are pretty short. And late notes. After Lenin gained control of Russia, he started the GOELRO plan. And he wanted to do two things. When did he start the plan? Was first of all February 21st, 1920, very shortly after he got in power. And he wanted two socialist things he planned to start. And that was government-run healthcare and government-run education system. Those two things. So that's your final question, number 46. I have one more slide. And that's just an example of communism's failures. I had to stick this in here. So I'm going to let you pause this now. And let's go to this one. Failures of communism. In 1987, King Yong II began building what was to be the world's largest hotel in China, of course, to show the awesomeness of the communism. Construction stopped 5 years later, in 1992, due to lack of funds and the instability due to subpar concrete. You know, it's hard to sue the concrete company when the government is running the concrete company. What do you do to those guys if you can't sue them and they have no money? I know. Send them to Siberia. Oh, those lucky dogs. Yeah. So anyway, they ran out of money. They ran out of bad concrete. Or they had lots of bad concrete. It now looms over the city, windowless and empty, costing 2% of the country's GDP as the citizens starve. So this is pretty awesome right there. I'd like to get the name of it, that way you could have Googled it. Anyway, that's one of their mistakes. So, without any further ado, hope you guys have a good day. We'll see you next time. Bye. Oh, and thank you for the applause. Thank you for the applause. Thank you.